Hey, bricks and mortar retailers, welcome to this week's training. It is the 18th of July, 2024, on a balmy, sunny day here in Germany. No aircon here in Germany, which is quite hilarious. So we've got the fan pumping out real hard. And this week's training is the final piece in my methodology on how to increase cash flow and profitability within your store. And I'm talking about how you can create a rock star team that can drive your profits up. And this is one of the foundational aspects of running any business. And it is definitely one of the fundamental aspects of running a bricks and mortar retail store. So before I launch into it, just love to know if you're watching this live, just click the word just write the word live in the comment section. If you're watching the replay, please write the word replay. It lets me know when the best time to put these videos on. So yeah, let's rock and roll. So having a rock star team, or better still, creating a rock star team, is so fundamental to increasing profitability in your store. And it's so fundamental to have some sort of playbook to create a rock star team, such that when you start to grow your business, open more locations, scale up, having this profit piece is so essential, right? So it's really, really important. But there are so many mistakes I see bricks and mortar retailers making. I made a lot of these mistakes myself when I was running my pharmacies, and a lot of retailers I work with are making these mistakes. And not even the ones I work with. If you have a look at some of the big retailers in the market space, in the bricks and mortar market space, even, you've seen this. You go into big department stores and nobody comes to serve you, or the people don't know what they're doing, or they don't even provide you with a full solution to the problem. It's happening everywhere. And I guess a lot of retailers are getting complacent because of the e-commerce cousins. But this is where you, the bricks and mortar retailer, have such a tremendous opportunity in really growing and scaling your business, because you've got this live customer in your hands, and hopefully you're going to have this amazing team member who is going to provide the full solution to what they came into your store to solve. So there are so many big mistakes I see retailers making, right? So the first one out of all that diatribe was the fact that we don't emphasize, or we don't spend enough time training and developing our team. We may do it ad hoc, but we don't actually have a system in place. And that's such a really, really big mistake. The other big mistake that we make as bricks and mortar retailers is the fact that we micromanage everything. This is really easy for us as owners to do, and we don't delegate. And thereby we do everything ourselves as a store owner. And that's a recipe for disaster, because you cannot be in all places at all times. You can't be the sole person that's going to be growing your business. You can't be the sole person that's going to be driving profitability and cash flow in your store. It's such a big mistake. So then you have these team members there that are just basically sitting around doing the bare minimum and doing nothing for your store, nothing towards driving your profitability, and nothing towards helping your customers in the way they should be helped. Yeah, the other big mistake is we neglect employee recognition and motivation. I think for a lot of retailers, because we have a lot of part-time / casual staff, we kind of think that, because they're only here part-time, they don't need to do much within our store, or, because they're only here for a few hours a week, the way that they interact with our clients and customers is not really that important, because they're just sort of filling a shift or filling a hole. That's such a really, really big mistake, and that simply stems from the fact that we've really got no system in place to work on, the motivation of our employees and the employee recognition, right? The other one is, if I walked into your store, let me know in the comment section below. Does everybody in your store, do your team members know your team goals? Do they know the goals for your business? Do they know the goals for your store? Let me know in the comments section, yes or no. This is one of the big disconnects that happens in independent retailers, and a lot of the big ones as well, is the fact that we're not communicating our vision, our goal, what we want our store to be achieving in the marketplace. We're simply not communicating this to our team members, right? So of course, if you're not communicating your vision or your goals or what you're trying to achieve, then it makes it very hard for them to execute. And of course, then you're really not going to get the results that you want. So that's a really big mistake that we make as bricks and mortar retailers. So yeah, and the consequences of making these mistakes, well, the biggest thing is you're actually leaving so much money on the table because your team are underperforming thanks to you, because there's no systems in place for training and development, and you're just missing out on money. You're missing out on the ability for optimizing your cash flow. You're missing out on the ability to drive and scale your business, and you're missing out on the ability for your team members to perform really, really well, right? And that's one of the key foundations, one of the fundamentals of running a great retail business, is to have all this shit sorted out. So and that's good. And if you get it right, so you get this right. Let me just make sure it's coming up correctly. Yeah, if you get it right, you are going to have so much more improved customer experience, right? And like I mentioned before, in the marketplace that we are playing in at the moment with Amazon, e-commerce, all the other players, apps that we're competing with, home delivery, if we have a team, a rock star team within our stores that's providing the full solution, and encompassing the full solution is to provide an amazing customer experience in your local community, in the area that you're serving, they are definitely going to come back. And that's what's so important. So if you get it right, you're going to have much better customer experience, right? And that'll just lead to a whole host of other things, positive reviews, not to mention your increased cash flow, increased profitability, all that kind of thing. You're also going to have greater operational efficiency, right? Because you're going to have your team members are going to follow a system. They are going to be delegated tasks to do. They're going to know exactly what they need to do to drive your business forward. Your employees are going to be so much more engaged and motivated, right? I remember the first time I introduced these into my store, once the team members knew my vision, they knew what they needed to do, their position descriptions, they knew how to sell because you had trained them, you had got in outside training to show them, like, this is how I want you to look after my customers in the store. And this is the vision that we're working towards, right? These are our KPIs, our goals. You'll have a far more engaged team. And then your motivation goes up, and you're just kicking ass on all cylinders. So yeah, it's so important. So here's whoopsie, I've lost the mouse. Let me just grab the mouse back. Love live television. Okay. Great. So here is what you need to do. Minor technical issue there. To sort this out for your store, right? Whoops. Oh, by the way, if you want a copy of these steps, this worksheet, just comment worksheet, and I'll make sure you get a copy. And of course, what I've given you here is the very high level. Whoa. I'm just somehow lost my mouse. Isn't that interesting? Give me a sec, guys. You know what? I can use this. I've lost my cursor. Anyway, here is what you need to do to make sure that you implement all of these in your store. And remember, if you want some help with this stuff, just reach out. This is what we do. This is what we help clients do, is we help them implement all of these systems and procedures in store so that you can start to increase profitability. So first thing is you need to make it easy, not only for yourself, but also for your team members, right? Really, really important. And the way you do that is you need to start to have position KPIs. And this is how you create a rockstar team. So you want to make it easy for yourself, and you also want to make it easy for your team members. So I got the mouse back. That's fantastic. Fuck. All right. So you want to make it easy for yourself. So the way you make it easy for yourself is to make sure that you take yourself out of the process. And the best way to do that is to actually create a system. And you create a system by creating not only position descriptions, which I'll talk about in a minute, but position KPIs. So what does that mean? So that means when you are away from the business, when you are on holidays, when you're at home on the weekends, if you're trading on the weekends and you're not in your store, is that your team members know exactly what they need to do and they know exactly what they need to achieve in your store. So KPIs, and a lot of us owners are really scared of this. I think it comes from this mindset that we are really scared that we're going to actually annoy our team members and they will actually leave. Well, I'm actually telling you that's a great thing, because you only want rock star A players within your store. You don't want these people that are not achieving things, and people that don't want to achieve things, they are not, more than likely, not going to be part of your vision on what you're trying to achieve for your store. So they're the ones that you need to get rid of. So position KPIs are so important. Um, the daily huddle. So this is a great technique that we were doing in one of the pharmacies towards midway through. And the huddle is so important. So it's a great way to bring your team together, and it's usually led by a retail manager or whoever's running the show on a daily basis. But to reconnect with your team on a daily basis is awesome. And some of you may have staggered shifts. You just need to pick a time when everyone's sort of overlapping, and really it can be a little bit painful in the beginning because you're all meant to be standing together around the register and you've got customers coming in, but that's okay. You want to keep the huddle really, really quick. And the huddle is just some main things that you want to reiterate. Like perhaps you want to go through quickly the sales that you did the day before, what you want to achieve for that day, any specials or anything like that, anything that's to be noted that you want to make sure you communicate to your team. But the whole thing about the huddle is the whole communication piece, which we don't do very well. And if you have one or two people in your team, no problem. I would still encourage you to do it. Just a quick 30-second debrief on the major points that you want your team members to be aware of while they're on the floor looking after your customers, and that kind of thing. So daily huddle is so important. Number 4 is customer service training. So this is a little bit of a no-brainer, or is it? Many of us assume when we hire that people know, that our employees know what good customer service is. And sure, I mean, they may have some idea, but do they know exactly what customer service means to you, the retail store owner, and within the context of your customers and within the context of what you're trying to achieve within your store? So really, really important that we start to do some customer service training. So I know you're thinking, oh, Alvin, too hard. Yeah, it can be a little bit challenging. So that's why you need to work with someone like me. Or you just need to take some time to distill, because I bet you that you are the best salesperson on your floor. Usually that's the case. Many retail store owners, they're the best salespeople in their store, which is why they find it so challenging to let go from the day-to-day stuff. But what you need to do is just sort of do an audit of yourself, or do a little bit of a capture, and capture the steps that you're taking to proceed and to do a sale. So, and just note it down. Now, if you're not the best salesperson in your store, I bet there is someone within your store, hopefully, who's a really good salesperson, and you can get them to do the same thing. You basically, in the beginning, when you're just getting started with customer service training, we want to model someone else's behavior. So if that's not you, hopefully that's somebody else in your team. And if it's not somebody else in your team, well, you can see my videos. Just search customer service training. I've got a ton of those on how you can do that. But the key to all training is to actually start to have a system in place. So you can't just do it as a one-off. And in fact, that'll lead me to my next point, which is you're also doing customer service training. So basic stuff, right? So actually, let me take a step back. When I'm talking about customer service training, I am talking about how do you want your team members to greet your customers? Do you want them to say the name? What strategies do you have in place so that they build rapport with your customers as they come into store? So you need to have all those systems documented And that's what I mean by customer service training: how you answer the phone, how you do the goodbyes, how you sign people up to the loyalty program, how you interact with your customers as they walk in the store. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be in a way that builds rapport, so that the customers come into your store and get to know, like, and trust not your team, basically. So yeah, customer service training is so important, and that leads me on also to the next fundamental, which is sales training. We can't assume that our team members know how to sell. This is another fallacy, and if they do, you better hope it's not some sort of sharky way of selling that doesn't align with your values, you, the bricks and mortar store owner. So you want to make sure that they that they have some basic sales training. And same thing we want to do there is to model it either on what you do, if you're the best salesperson in the team, or another team member that's really, really good at selling. And we want to make sure that that we do that. Now, with all of these things that we are doing, the sales training, customer service training, this needs to be part of your schedule. You need to make sure that you schedule it so that you're actually doing it on a regular basis, because I'm sure, as you know, as you have experienced yourself, doing any training once, it doesn't have any impact, right? It's going to be the same thing with your team. You train them once, they're going to forget. All training happens with repetition, repetition, role plays, repetition, training, repetition, role play, repetition. So you can't get away with just doing it once. It needs to be part of the whole system of your store. So you need to be doing it at least monthly, twice a month in the beginning, just to get everybody up to speed, perhaps. Some people also get an outside training company in. But if you work with me, I'll give you all the systems, right? So yeah, if you want to work with me, just send me a message below. Say, Alvin, I want to work with you, and we can set this up within your store. So really important that you have a system in place for regularly training your team, and that includes customer service training and sales training. There are so many aspects, right, of creating a rockstar team. The last one I want to talk about today is about reviews. This is something that a lot of us retailers, we don't really do. We're scared of doing. I think it comes from the fact that no one really teaches us how to do reviews. I have a system in place. You can search the group team reviews, how you do that. But regular check-ins with your team members are so essential. Not only does it let them know that you care, and hopefully you do care about your team, but it's a great way to receive feedback about your store, about you. And it is also the best way to correct, improve, change behavior in your team members when they're having a review on a regular basis. How often should you be doing reviews? Really depends on your store. I recommend for salespeople, you should be having a review with them at least twice a year. Just really depends on your business and how often you communicate with them. But that also needs to be a system that it needs to be something that you need to systematize. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And it's something that needs to be part of your position description, and definitely when you're hiring, so your team members know that this is part of the process of what goes on within this store of yours. Yeah, it's so unfortunate that a lot of bricks and mortar retailers miss out on this. When we were doing reviews, and eventually you get to the stage where your retail manager or whoever's running your store is doing the reviews, and you get so much great feedback, because since you're not going to be on the floor every day from now on, this feedback, and you need to make sure make sure it's genuine feedback, take it on board, and it's things that hopefully you can work on to improve the customer experience within the store, to improve your employee experience. Because if your employees and your customers are happy, that's going to drive profitability within your store. So you need to make sure that you have some system in place to do the reviews. And that wasn't the last one. I beg your pardon. The next one is, we need to make sure that you have some sort of hiring process. Many of us, we hire on a whim, right? Usually we hire very last minute, when somebody hasn't turned up to their shift, or somebody's quit on us very, very last minute. And when we hire that way, we're just sort of putting the Band-Aid on and then covering up the wound without really taking the time to think about the best person for the position, the role, And so you need to make sure that you have a hiring system in place so that you can hire rock stars. So what is a hiring system? This is an integral part of what we do when we work together, but making sure that you hire rock stars is a little bit of a process. So the first thing I want to make sure that I tell you is you should always be hiring. So if you have a website, if you are posting on job sites, you should always have that ad running, because you just never know when you are going to get a rock star who's going to come into the business and just explode your business. So you should always be hiring, have a system for that. Number two, you should have some sort of hiring process. Now, it's way beyond what I'm going to be going, what I've got time to do. We're already at 20 minutes. If you're still here, yay. But let me know, do you have a hiring process within your store? Just pop yes, no hiring process. I'd love to know. Hiring process. This is really something simple, is to make sure that you've got some sort of questionnaire or Google form that people fill out. So ideally, you want your ad or application, and then to the application form or questions that you ask, so that you can then weed out the serious people. What we're recommending now for hiring is, as part of the process, is to get people to do a video. A 3-minute video. You can have the questions that you need to ask, but if you do this, you'll weed out so many people who are just not fit for the job, who just don't care. And you only want really serious rock stars who are coming into your team. So you need to make sure that you have that as part of your hiring process. And that way you will hire rock stars. If you're constantly hiring, you're going to find rock stars. And rock stars breed rock stars. So once you start to have this team that's firing on all cylinders, increasing profitability, making sales within your store, you'll find that the people that don't want to play, that aren't good at sales, that aren't good at profitability, customer service, they will naturally leave. You will have natural attrition, but then you'll find that you'll start to hire the right people, because people start to hear about, oh my God, this place that you've created where it's so much fun to work because there's all these goals and they listen to what I say. And your current rock stars will refer on other rock stars, and it's just a snowball effect. It's such a great thing. So that's how you make sure that you hire rock stars. So it's really, really important. Yeah. Wow. That was rather long. So in summary, creating a rockstar team is all down to better communication. It's something that you, as the retail store owner, need to get much better at. You need to make sure that you're really clear about what you're trying to achieve within your store, and make sure you communicate that clarity to your team members, and making sure that there's some sort of accountability in place, from the team reviews to the huddles to the constant feedback, the two-way feedback that you're going to be introducing. And that's a surefire way that you're actually going to make money and increase profitability in your bricks and mortar store. Cool. There we go. That's the end. If you made it this far, awesome. So if you want a copy of the worksheet, just put the word worksheet in the comments section below. And until next time, catch you later.